Here it is at exactly 11 o'clock of the 11th month, and we're here to celebrate Veterans Day. So I'd like to welcome everybody here, and it's a good turnout. A cold, chilly, blustery day. I would expected a few fewer, but this is great. So we had our first one in 2021, our first celebration of Veterans Day with a new monument, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day. Temperature was in the 70s, no wind, bright sun. It was beautiful, and we've had every year since then to being quite good. This is the first year where it's been a little cool, a little breezy, but it certainly could be a lot worse. So I'd like to start the ceremony by asking all the veterans to raise their hands so we can acknowledge their service. So all veterans, all right, good number. Right. Thanks an awful lot for your service. Now I'd like to continue with the reading of the veterans in Boxborough who have passed away in the last year. And they're Raymond P. Krull, Army from Korea. George C. Cruzen, the 2nd Army in Korea. George W. Robinson, Marine Corps, Vietnam. Peter Rodunko, Air Force, Vietnam. I'd like now to recite the names that are etched on our wall. These are veterans who have died in the line of service. They are Revolutionary War, Luther Blanchard. Civil War, John Fletcher, killed in action. Alonzo Woodward and Francis P. Finnegan. From World War I, Carl S. Swanson. From Vietnam, Paul J. Hughes. In order to be listed as killed in action, you actually have to die on the battlefield. If you're wounded and you're taken to the hospital and die 2 days later, you're not killed in action, you just died in service. I'd like right now to ask Select Board Member Priya Sundaram and all the scouts to come up and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to invite the AB High School Madrigal Singers. Thanks.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited way. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes prove in liberating strife, who mourn that self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Madrigal. notes. Thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful and really added to the ceremony. And I don't know how you arranged for the flyover at the same time you were singing. Very good. At this time, I'd like to ask the Boxborough Minuteman Company to come forward and shoot a volley.
Forward, march! Prepare to fire! Ready? Fire! Order fire lock. Check! Shoulder fire lock. Left, right. Forward, march.
All right, thank you so much, Boxborough Minutemen. At last, I'd like to ask Human Services Administrative Assistant Amy Sheen and the Scouts to come up and read the Veterans Day proclamation from the Governor. That will be followed by Historic Commission Chair Alan Rohr recites the Armistice Day commemoration.
Whereas, since the Commonwealth's earliest days, thousands of men and women have served our country in defense of freedom and liberty. And whereas, on November 11th, 1918, after 4 years of conflict, the armistice was signed in the forest of Compiègne by the Allied nations and Germany, ending World War I, the war to end all wars. And whereas, since that day, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans. And whereas, in November 2025, the world will commemorate this 107th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And whereas there are approximately 300,000 veterans living in Massachusetts, and whereas in the recognition of the sacrifices made by those who have served our great nation, Massachusetts remains committed to supporting its veterans community through the HERO Act, honoring, empowering, and recognizing our service members and veterans.
And whereas today we are reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions of our veterans who have made for our country. And whereas we honor and salute those who served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, and courage. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts residents remember the bravery of those who served their country, and so their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Maura T. Healy, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2025 to be Veterans Day, and urge all residents of the Commonwealth to take cognizance of this event and participate fitly in its observance. Given at the Executive Chamber in Boston, this 11th day of November in the year 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. Thank you.
At the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918, the Great War ends. At 5 a.m. that morning, Germany, bereft of manpower and supplies and faced with imminent invasion, signed an armistice agreement with the Allies in a railroad car outside of Champigny, France. World War I officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed the following year, June 28, 1919. In November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day with the following words: "To us, in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because the opportunity has been given to America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of nations." An act approved on May 13, 1938, made the 11th day of November each year as a legal holiday, a day to be proclaimed to the cause of world peace and to be thereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor the veterans of World War I, but in 1954, at the urging of many veteran service organizations, November 11th became Veterans Day, a day to honor all veterans who have served in the armed forces in wartime and in peace.
Thank you, Alan. I'd like to introduce Town Administrator Michael Johns to speak.
Good morning, Boxborough. First, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to this town. It is both a pleasure and an honor to serve in a community that holds its servants in such high regard. Its employees, its volunteers, its elected and appointed officials, its first responders, its veterans. It is an honor to serve this community where this town remembers and honors those who serve the residents of this community. Today, as we gather, we stand on ground where the earliest chapters of our nation's history was written. A story that began with ordinary citizens who became extraordinary patriots. One of them was our own Luther Blanchard, a fifer who marched from Boxborough to Concord on April 19, 1775, and who played the first notes of liberty on the day the American Revolution began. Luther Blanchard and those who followed him set in motion the legacy we honor today, a legacy carried forward by every man and woman who has worn the uniform of the United States. From the Minutemen who left their farms to defend freedom, to the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen of today, our veterans have upheld the same ideals of courage, duty, and sacrifice that built this great nation from its beginning. When we look to our flag, the symbol of everything they served and protected, we see not just colors, but values that define both our great nation of freedom and opportunity and our brave veterans from every generation. Red reminds us of hardiness and valor, the courage of those who face hardship and danger so that others may live in peace. White stands for purity and innocence, the moral strength of those who serve with honor, guided by integrity and love of country. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice, the steadfast spirit that keeps faith with America's promise, even in the darkest hours. These colors fly over every battlefield, every base, and every hometown, including our beloved Boxborough. And they mirror the qualities we see in the veterans among us: courage in red, honor in white, and loyalty in blue. Our veterans remind us that freedom is not inherited, it is earned and defended by each and every generation. They remind us that patriotism is not division, but devotion, not words, but deeds. So today, we honor them. Those who are currently serving, those who have served, those families who have stood by those who have served, and those who still carry painful memories of service, and those who never returned. We honor their families who shoulder the quiet burdens of sacrifice. And we remember Luther Blanchard and all those from Boxborough who answered our nation's call, both then, now, and always. May we live our lives worthy of their example, carrying forward the same spirit of courage, purity of purpose, and vigilance that our flag and our veterans so proudly represent. Thank you. God bless our veterans. God bless this town. And God bless the United States of America. Next, I'd like to introduce Amy Sheen, our Administrative Assistant for Human Services, who will deliver remarks. In your program, it says we were going to hear from Army Infantry veteran Bill Donovan, who was not able to make it this morning, and Amy is standing in.
Thank you. As Mike mentioned, unfortunately, our resident guest speaker is not able to attend today's ceremony, so I would like to share the following message from our Veteran Services Officer, James McCrae. And with that, I would like to welcome you all to this year's ceremony. I also want to thank the Boxborough Minutemen for their continuous involvement with these ceremonies year after year without fail, as well as the Public Celebrations and Ceremonies Committee for their assistance with this year's ceremony. Thank you all for coming here to observe Veterans Day, a day of deep meaning, memory, and gratitude. Each year, we set aside this day to honor those who have served our country in the armed forces. We do this not only out of respect for their service, but because remembrance matters. When we remember year after year, we do more than recite history. We reaffirm the bond between the freedoms we enjoy and the sacrifices made on our behalf. We remember because service members, whether serving during peace or war, have faced hardships few of us ever will. They have left families, traveled far from home, and faced danger. They have made choices rooted not in self-interest, but in duty. And in doing so, they protected an ideal that America is a place where freedom, justice, and opportunity are possible. To forget that would be disrespectful, not only to their sacrifices, but to the very principles we hold dear. To remember again and again is to review our commitment as citizens to live up to the promise they defended. Celebrating Veterans Day every year helps us in several essential ways. It keeps the story alive, time passes, generations change, and the direct memory of combat, service, and hardship diminishes. By annually pausing, we refresh our patriotism, ensuring the lessons of the past service do not simply vanish. It connects civilians and veterans. Our society depends on a bridge between those who serve and those who do not. Each Veterans Day strengthens that connection, reminding us that their service is our service too. It offers gratitude and action, saying thank you is meaningful. But year after year, public ceremonies, speeches, and gatherings show that our thanks are sustained, not fleeting. It prompts reflection and responsibility. When we remember, we ask ourselves, what are we doing with the freedom secured for us? How are we supporting our veterans, our communities, and each other? And lastly, it preserves legacy. Whether somebody served in the distant past or more recently, their story becomes part of our collective heritage. This annual observance ensures that our heritage remains vibrant and not forgotten. So today, whether you are a veteran, a family member, a friend, or a simple grateful citizen, let us take time to listen. Listen to the stories of service to our country. Let us continue to pay reference in future years to our veterans in this meaningful way. And let us live in a manner worthy of the trust they placed in our country. To all the veterans, past and present, we salute you, we remember you, we honor you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. At this point, I would like to invite Army veterans Nancy Warren and Wayne Richardson to walk up the wreath and lay the wreath. It will be preceded by Maddie Bentz, who will play taps. Thank you, Nancy, Wayne, and Maddie. I'd like to thank all the speakers and those in attendance for joining us today, including the police and Boxborough Fire Department, the DPW, which does a wonderful job in keeping this place mowed and looking good and putting the flags up, and the Town Hall, Amy Sheehan and Kelly Price, thank you for what you've done. The Public Celebrations Committee, especially John Fallon and Becky Neville. The Blanchard School Principal, Michael Votto. The BXB-TV and Littleton Cable. Special thanks to Kirby for his years of service to the town of Boxborough. And special thanks to Maddie Bentz, who has been playing taps every year for us. And I know from experience that playing taps is a very difficult thing to do. My son did it for a long time, and he was actually a drummer. And to put down his drum and pick up a bugle, a trumpet, and play taps. So thank you, Maddie, and everybody who has come out. And now you can go over and enjoy some snacks and some drinks. And great to have you here, and see you next year. Thank you.